For a while now, we've basically treated large language models like Swiss Army knives, right? We take this massive, incredibly complex, and let's be honest, often very expensive model, and we throw it at literally every single problem. We expect it to be the creative director, the project manager, and the intern, all at the exact same time. But think about it. If you were running a real-world business, would you pay your highly skilled CEO to, I don't know, sit there and stuff envelopes? No way. You'd hire a team. And that realization, it's driving a massive fundamental shift in how we actually interact with artificial intelligence.
Welcome to today's Explainer. Today we are breaking down this really fascinating, highly efficient, multimodal AI architecture. It's called the three-tier agent loop. And this is an absolute masterclass in taking specialized models and stitching them together into a kind of corporate hierarchy. It's faster, it's smarter, and it is significantly cheaper than just trying to force one giant digital brain to do the whole shebang. So let's build the ultimate AI dream team.
All right, here is our roadmap for today. Number 1, building the team. Then we'll meet our 3 key hires: the boss, the muscle, and the brains. After that, we'll map out the workflow hot path, and finally, go over the strict rules.
Section 1. Building the AI Dream Team, Planners, Executors, and Judges.
So the foundational concept here is specialization. Because, just like human employees, different AI models have totally different strengths. Some are incredibly fast and cheap, but they kinda lack that deep strategic insight, while others are absolutely brilliant and discerning, but they're slow and expensive. So the most efficient way to use AI right now is by assigning specialized roles. We literally need planners, executors, and judges. And this complete architecture maps that out perfectly. Right at the top, we've got GPT 5.6 Sol acting as the orchestrator. Underneath, Gemini 3.5 Flash steps in as the workers, and over to the side, Claude Fable 5 is the advisor. Tying these 3 totally distinct models together creates this incredible self-sustaining loop. Let's actually break down each of these roles.
Moving on to Section 2, the boss, the orchestrator.
All right, so the orchestrator is our chief operator. And the model they've chosen for this is GPT 5.6 Sol. You can really think of this as your project manager. It sits right smack in the center of the loop. But, and this is a really important detail, it doesn't actually do the heavy lifting itself. Its crucial job is to frame the success criteria. It figures out, okay, what does a win actually look like here? It plans out the ways of tasks, dispatches the individual briefs, and then it just waits. When the results start rolling back in, it verifies every single one and finally synthesizes all of it into the final deliverable. So it's all about management.
Section 3, the muscle, parallel workers.
Now for the workers, the system employs Gemini 3. Flash, and this is honestly a brilliant choice because this specific model is designed to be incredibly fast and super cheap to run. In our loop, Gemini acts as the stateless muscle. And we don't just have one worker, we have worker A, worker B, worker C, and D. Each worker runs exactly one self-contained subtask, and they are running them all at the exact same time in parallel. They are the frontline employees on the factory floor, just cranking out these individual pieces of the puzzle at absolute scale.
Section 4. The Brains, Premium Advisor.
Okay, but what happens when the team faces something highly complex or really risky? Well, you do what any good business does. You bring in an outside consultant. So, our third hire is the advisor, and that's powered by Claude Fable 5. This is your high-level consultant brought in strictly for premium taste and judgment. Notice its position in the architecture here. It is an on-demand consulted critic. It provides the high-level strategy, helps break down those massive tasks into smaller chunks, offers critiques, and spots risks. But here is the most fascinating part to me. It is kept entirely off the main hot path. It's actually consulted exactly twice in the whole process, once right before the start to review the plan, and once right before the final ship to give that ultimate final approval.
And this comparison right here brilliantly illustrates the core philosophy of the whole 3-tier loop. We are aggressively contrasting the workers with the advisor. On one side, you have Gemini 3.5 Flash providing that cheap, parallel labor and really fast execution. On the other side, Claude Fable 5 brings the premium taste, the strategic consultation, and the risk spotting. Because think about it. If you use Claude for every single tiny subtask, you would bankrupt your project in compute costs before you even ate lunch. But if you use Gemini for the final strategic approval, the overall quality might really suffer. So by keeping them strictly in their lanes, you literally get the absolute best of both worlds.
Section 5. The main workflow hot path.
Okay, let's actually walk through a day in the life of this flow. The orchestrator, GPT 5.6 Sol, is in the driver's seat. Step 1 is the plan. The orchestrator figures out exactly what needs to get done. Step 2 is delegate, pushing those specific tasks out to the team. Step 3 is verify, where it checks the work as it comes back. And finally, step 4 is synthesize, putting the whole puzzle together. This loop right here is the heartbeat of the entire architecture. But I really want to zoom in for a second on what makes step 2, that delegation phase, so incredibly powerful.
So during the delegation phase, the orchestrator dispatches these individual briefs down to the labor layer. And because we're using cheap, fast models like Gemini 3.5 Flash, the workers process all these subtasks simultaneously. But here is the absolute genius of it. Each worker is stateless, meaning it has no memory of past tasks, and it sees only its assigned brief. Worker A has absolutely no clue what worker B is doing. And why does that matter? Because it completely prevents the models from getting confused or hallucinating based on irrelevant context. They literally just do their one specific job, hit send, and return the results directly back to the orchestrator for verification. It is just pure, unadulterated efficiency.
Section 6. Strict rules for success.
Now, just like a real company, if the CEO suddenly decides to go work on the assembly line, or the assembly line workers decide they're going to redesign the company's 5-year macro strategy, well, the whole thing falls apart, right? So, to prevent that, and to keep those API costs from exploding, there are strict what it never does rules, hard-coded right into this loop. The orchestrator, GPT 5.6 Sol, never does worker-level grunt work. The workers, Gemini 3.5 Flash, never talk to each other, they never expand the scope of their assigned brief, and they don't get a second chance on the same call. Actually, scratch that. If they fail, the orchestrator just steps in and handles it. And the advisor, Claude Fable 5, it never executes anything.
I really want to pause on this specific quote from the architecture design regarding the advisor. It says, never executes the work. Honestly, this is probably the single most important boundary in the entire system. Claude Fable 5 is strictly there for its premium taste and judgment. If you start letting your highest tier, most expensive model write standard boiler code or summarize basic documents, you are completely wasting the architecture's potential. The system protects its most premium resources by rigidly defining what they are absolutely not allowed to do.
Which brings us to a really fascinating conclusion. I mean, we've just walked through an architecture where AI is the boss, AI is the workforce, and AI is the premium consultant. The system plans, it delegates, it verifies, synthesizes, and even critiques entirely on its own using these specialized tiers. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. If AI can now orchestrate, advise, and execute all by itself in this perfectly closed loop, what is your role in the loop? Are you the client? Are you the visionary? Or are you just the one paying the server bill? Definitely something to think about as we head into this next era of multi-agent systems. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.